So let's talk about negotiation. But we're not going to do it the way you might think. Today, we're putting two heavyweights in the ring. You've got the super rational, problem-solving method from Harvard, and then you have the high-stakes, life-and-death tactics straight from the FBI's playbook. And to kick things off, how about that line? It comes from Chris Voss, who was the FBI's top international hostage negotiator. Now, it's designed to be shocking, right? But it perfectly sets the stage for a completely different way of thinking about how to get what you want.
For years, the world of negotiation has really been split between two very different ideas. One is all about logic and fairness, a calm, reasonable discussion. The other? Well, it was born in chaos, it's all about psychology and influence. Let's break them down.
So on one side, you have the classic problem solver. They see a negotiation as a puzzle to be solved together where everyone can win. And on the other side, you have the hostage negotiator. For them, it's an emotional battlefield where understanding the other person's mind is your most powerful weapon.
Now, most of us have probably been exposed to the Harvard method, even if we don't know it by name. It comes from the legendary book Getting to Yes, and it's basically the gold standard in business schools. The whole idea is to be principled, objective, and fair. And the core of it is pretty simple, really. You take the emotion out of it, you focus on what people really want, not what they say they want, and you try to find a fair win-win solution based on objective facts. It's logical, it's collaborative, and, in a perfect world, it's amazing. But our world isn't always so perfect, is it?
Which brings us to the big question. What do you do when the other person isn't being rational, when they're angry or scared or just totally unreasonable? What happens when logic just completely flies out the window?
Think about this. 1993, a bank robbery at Chase Manhattan. Hostages, a super tense standoff. The FBI negotiator who got on the phone knew that talking about mutual gain was totally useless. His only job at that moment was to build a connection, to just keep the guy talking. In a crisis, the relationship has to come before the solution.
And this is exactly where the FBI's real-world experience just smashed into the Harvard model. Voss says that in these high-stakes emotional situations, trying to be a logical problem solver isn't just a bad idea, it can be downright dangerous. The old rules just don't apply when you're dealing with a human in crisis mode.
So born from these intense, life-or-death situations, the FBI developed a completely new playbook. It wasn't about ignoring emotions, it was about weaponizing them, and they called it tactical empathy.
Now, let's be super clear. Tactical empathy is not about being nice or feeling sorry for someone. It's about understanding their point of view so well that you can actually start to guide their decisions. It's a huge mental shift. You're no longer solving a problem, you're listening strategically. As Voss puts it, it's literally listening as a martial art. All right, now we're getting to one of the most powerful and, honestly, weirdest ideas in the FBI playbook. This one thing completely flips traditional negotiation on its head. Think about it. From the time we're kids, we're taught to go for yes. We hear no and we think, oh, I failed. But what the FBI learned is that pushing for yes too fast actually makes people put their walls up. It makes them defensive.
For a pro negotiator, no isn't the end, it's the beginning. Hearing no is like getting a gift. It's the sign that, okay, now the real conversation can actually start.
So why is no so great? Well, because it makes the other person feel safe. It gives them the feeling of being in control. And when people feel safe, their defenses drop, and they start telling you what's really going on. Trust me, a real no is a million times better than a fake yes. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually do it? Let's get practical and break down the toolkit that makes tactical empathy work.
First things first, you have to get this. Communication is mostly not about the words you say. This is the famous 7-38-55 rule. It means a tiny 7% of meaning comes from your words. The other 93%? It's your tone of voice and your body language. And the FBI's techniques are all about mastering that 93%.
Okay, first tool, mirroring. This is so simple, it feels like a Jedi mind trick. You just repeat the last few important words they said, but as a question. Like if they say, I'm really worried about the budget, you just say, the budget, and then you shut up. It's a little psychological hack that makes them feel heard and forces them to explain more, and that's when they give you the good stuff.
Next up is labeling. This is where you call out the emotion that you're sensing in the room. You say something like, it seems like you're feeling a lot of pressure. You're not agreeing with them, you're just showing them that you see it. It's amazing how this validates their feelings and just sucks the negative energy right out of the room. And finally, the big one.
calibrated questions. These are powerful, open-ended questions, usually starting with how or what, that are designed to make the other person solve your problem for you. Asking something like, "How am I supposed to do that?" isn't aggressive. It's an invitation. It gives them the illusion of control, while you are gently guiding the conversation right where you want it to go.
So with all this FBI stuff, should you just toss that Harvard book in the trash? No way. Absolutely not. A true master of negotiation knows it's not about choosing one over the other. It's about knowing exactly which tool to pull out of the bag for the right situation.
And this just lays it out so clearly, doesn't it? The Harvard approach is all about collaboration, fairness, and finding that win-win. The FBI method, it's tactical, it's emotionally smart, and it's about gaining influence when things get messy. One is about solving a math problem, the other is about navigating a maze of human emotion.
So the Harvard method is your go-to when things are collaborative. You're building a partnership, figuring things out with your team, anything where a long-term relationship and being fair are what matter most. This logical, step-by-step approach is perfect for that.
But when the stakes are high, when emotions are flaring, when you're dealing with someone who's just difficult, that's when you deploy the FBI toolkit. Tactical empathy is your secret weapon for taking control of a tense situation and steering it back in your favor. So I'll leave you with this question. The next time you find yourself in a disagreement, at work or at home, ask yourself, am I trying to win this argument or am I trying to understand their world? Because the answer to that question, well, it changes everything.